It's not just another day in your life. Things are changing for the better. At Comcast, we see those changes, and we're thinking about how we use technology today to live, work, learn, and play. And we're building for the future now, so we're better prepared for the wants and needs of tomorrow. That's why Comcast is rolling out multi-gig internet speeds to more than 50 million homes and businesses before the end of 2025, making our already industry-leading network even faster, smarter, greener, and more reliable. Over the decades, Comcast has been your partner, working hard to serve your community, and will continue to be your partner. We're expanding our gigabits so you can enjoy the tiny bits that matter most.
I'm Brandon Jones, host of the Teen Mental Health podcast, It Is Not Your Fault.
And I'm Lambert Fisher, family therapist and host of the Diversity Dude podcast.
We're not always going to be all right, and that's what makes us human. Often, when we're in pain or even thinking of suicide, we may not want others to know, but you'll feel better if you talk to someone. And you can do that safely and anonymously.
We can recognize when loved ones are not okay. They bottle up, they isolate, they're angry.
That's why we want you to know about 988, Minnesota Lifeline, for someone you're worried about or even yourself.
Anyone with an emotional or mental health related need can call, chat, or text 988 for free, confidential support. You can connect with 988 to discuss difficulty with money, relationships, anxiety, your job, concerns about drug or alcohol use, grief support, figuring out your identity, and more.
You don't even have to identify yourself or the person you're calling about, and no insurance is needed.
988 is available 24/7 year-round and can interpret in more than 200 languages.
So take a brave step. Call or text 988.
Or chat at 988lifeline.org. You don't have to do this alone.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Financially Fit Podcast. I am your host, Andre Creighton. I'm very excited to be here with you all today. Thank you for continuing to rock with me here in 2024. For those that are new, welcome to the podcast. I hope that you find something fruitful in our conversation today, as we are going to delve into what do you do if you have just lost your job? Wow, this is a very, very tough topic. As I think about where we are in the state of the economy, high inflation, unemployment rate, obviously our unemployment rate has been driven down. It's at about 4.3% as of July 2024, up about 0.02 from June of 2024. So we have seen just some incremental increases in that, but what I will say, it's still higher than it should be. And I know that there are a lot of people that are currently being affected, whether they're being furloughed or whether they've been fired or just quite frankly laid off because of reductions within a corporation. We are seeing some mass layoffs across very, very large corporations from, as I think about Minnesota, from Target to Alina to, many, many different corporations. And today I want to talk about what do you do when that occurs. But first, I always like to tell just a little quick story because I think it's important to let you all into my life. I think it's a moment of vulnerability, right? A moment for you to look through the lens of myself and for us to understand that we're all human and we all go through a lot of things that happen in closed doors that not many people might see. So back in 2018, I was not yet an entrepreneur. I was in corporate America. As you know, I've been an accountant all of my life, from doing taxes within large firms with high net worth individuals all the way up to very Fortune 500 companies. And I decided to get out of the tax world. I had left a firm and I was at Cargill working in their corporate tax and strategy department, one of the largest privately held companies in the world, and getting to see a lot of different things on a global perspective. At that time, I was also pursuing my MBA in finance full time. So I was doing night school, and I knew that I didn't want to be in tax forever. So I had kind of decided one day, and I had been thinking about this for a long time, and I just kind of up and left my job at Cargo. I didn't have anything necessarily lined up. I'd been having conversations, but nothing had come to fruition at that point in time. And I think back to that time. So it was about maybe a week where I was unemployed, and I finally landed a consulting job, and it was very different than I had anything I had done before. I was in and out of various businesses, doing different things on a day-to-day basis, lots of ambiguity, I would say. And fast forward about 3-4 months in, it just wasn't going as well as I wanted it to go. Really wasn't feeling connected to a lot of the organizations I was working with, didn't feel connected to the work, the people, and I ended up getting let go. Man, that was a very tough time. So back in February of that time, I believe it was 2018 going into 2019. So February of 2019, I lost my job, and I didn't know what to do. I was devastated. I had never been fired or let go from anything or laid off, and it had finally hit me. And I was trying to figure out what to do. So didn't really know what to do. I was digging into my network to see, what I could get into. I was about 3 months away from finishing my MBA, so I knew there was going to be some opportunities coming down the pipeline, but I hadn't yet discovered what I wanted to do as I was getting my MBA in finance. So I applied for unemployment. Luckily, was able to get unemployment, and the process was very tedious. I think about all the paperwork I had to fill out. I think about the sessions I had to attend to ensure them that I was doing the work that I need to do on my end to find a new job, and the work that they are providing me and things to be able to make connections to find a new job. And it was just a tough time. But also during that time, I had an opportunity to kind of take a step back. I had an opportunity to do a lot of things I hadn't been doing because I'd been on the hamster wheel ever since I graduated college. So I was able, I think about the first day that I woke up and I was like, wow, I don't have to go to work. What am I going to do with myself? I got up and if you know me, I'm an avid bowler. So ended up going bowling by myself, and really spending time with my family, spending time with my friends. It really was a great time for me to rediscover myself, reinvent myself, and also reconnect with the things that matter the most. So maybe some of you are going through this today, and maybe you feel like you've lost hope. Maybe you feel that you're not going to find that next job. Maybe the job market is very tough and competitive, and you're searching for what's next for you. Well, the first piece of advice I give to you is number one, hopefully you have talk to your employer about some type of severance package. This is something that I didn't do when I was furloughed from my job. I didn't go and talk to my employer about a severance package because I didn't know. But a lot of times employers will give you a severance package, and most employers are very honest and open and will just provide that to you. But obviously there are other employers that might not say anything, right? If you don't say anything, you don't raise any red flags, they're not going to say anything. Why? Because they want to keep that money in their pocket. They're cutting people for a reason, right? Because likely they're not making the money they need to make, and expenses are high. So to be able to keep that money in the bank is important to them. So the number one thing is make sure that you understand your severance package. The next thing is to make sure that you understand your benefits. When I was working in tax, there was an individual whose return I worked on, a very wealthy individual. He was in his late 50s. He had a lot of retirement money set aside, and he lost his job. And during that time of losing his job and trying to find a new job, he discovered that he had some type of disease in his legs, and he had to have his legs amputated. Very, very unfortunate situation, and very sad situation. Um, Unfortunately, this individual had to go into their retirement and use their retirement money to pay for those medical expenses because they didn't have any medical insurance. So the only reason why I tell that story is that you never know what's going to happen, right? We hope the best, we hope for the best, but at the end of the day, things happen, things occur, and we need to be as preventative and proactive as possible. So making sure that we have that health insurance, making sure that our family is covered if you have little ones or you have a wife or husband, just ensuring that you all are protected during those times when tough times hit. So I think it's just very important to make sure you have that health insurance. If you don't have health insurance, understand what are your options. Am I going to go to the marketplace? Can I get Cobra? Obviously, most times those are very expensive, but also it's very expensive to have to pay for those things out of pocket if something does occur. So, you know, trying to limit the amount of risk that you have, and we talk about risk all the time on this podcast, of not having health insurance and something occurring, whether, you could get into a car accident, you could be playing basketball and tear your ACL, right? Anything could occur, and we need to be prepared for those things. The next thing that's very important, and I talked about this in my situation, is start networking. Someone once told me that your network is your net worth, and I truly believe that. So I think it's very important that if you have a strong network, or if you don't have a strong network, that you start building that network, because those are the people that are going to go to bat for you. Those are the people that are going to walk you through the door into your next opportunity. Now, at the end of the day, you still have to execute and perform when you walk through that door. But the more doors that can be opened for you, the more opportunity you'll have. It's a volume play, right? Um, I think there's a lot of people that um, don't put enough perspective and enough um, they don't look at their network as much of a importance as it is. And I tell you, as someone that's an entrepreneur, a lot of the same people that are in my network that I went to college with, or went to high school with, or that I built relationship with during my early career at various jobs, those are the same people that are invested in my company today. So it's so important to make sure that you build that network. The other things that you can do is find temporary work, find gig work, right? Most of you may know that in all of my spare time, outside of running a business, obviously I podcasts here. I have a consulting company that I run at night that I have about 3 or 4 clients that I work with. And then also I coach high school football in the fall. And those are other sources of income that allow me to create more value for my family throughout the year. So, if you're down and out and you've lost your job, find another way to make some money. Uh, and then also I would say, and this is one that isn't thought about very much, is to, reskill or upskill, right? So maybe you're an accountant, right? How can I build and maybe I'm really good at, looking at financial statements and analyzing those and being able to come out with outcomes and tell a story about the financials for a company, right? But am I good at automating systems? Am I good at um, crunching the numbers and being able to validate the numbers in a more efficient way, right? Do I know how to use various softwares, right? During this time, that's a time to rediscover yourself and reinvent yourself and skill up, right? Or find new skills. Maybe you're looking to get out of accounting if you're an accountant, right? In my perspective, right? Or if you're putting yourself in my shoes. And maybe you want to go into more strategy, right? And marry strategy and financials, right? This is an opportunity for you to start maybe hosting some informal interviews with people that are in strategy, right? To understand, what are they doing? How can I build those skills to increase my expertise, right? So those are a few different things that you can do in that time, while you're looking for your job, if you've been furloughed or let go or fired. And then, last but not least, and honestly, I saved this one for last because it's the most important thing. The most important thing is dealing with it emotionally, right? The emotional toll that comes with losing your job or being fired, whether furloughed, fired, laid off, is very tough. This is a time where you need to lean on the people close to you that are going to be non-judgmental, that really can be an honest sounding board for you. And I always say, surround yourself with people that are going to challenge you, right? Surround yourself with people that are going to have empathy, but also are going to tell you how it is, right? And that's what I try to do in my life, is I want people that are empathetic, but also I want people that tell me how it is. Tell me what I could have done better in that situation. This is a good opportunity for you to reflect on, what part of the situation that you are currently going through, did you have a hand in, right? And how can I fix that so next time I don't have that issue? Those, if you can do those things, I really think that you'll get over that hump and you'll find the next job. You'll be in a much better mental state. And honestly, you're going to find that next job and be in a much better place to be more successful. But, I think the last thing that is really important in this whole overarching thing to bring everything back full circle is, I always tell you that from a risk perspective, it's so important to have an emergency savings. It's so important if you have residual income to be investing that money and have different liquidating vehicles where you can liquidate money if you do run into these hardships. And this is an instance where I didn't have those things in that time. I had some money set aside, but not nearly as much as I wanted or needed. So I always say, you should have 4 to 6 months of emergency savings to be able to pay for those necessary expenses. And this is one of those instances where, I wish I had that, and it would have been a lifesaver for me in this instance. So I'll end by saying this. If you are in this situation, don't give up. There's always hope. You're going to find that next opportunity. You're not going to think about this 5 years down the road, right? And you're going to be in a much better place, because I can honestly say that I'm in a much better place because I had gone through that, and it changed me as a person. It challenged me as a person, and I know that it will do the same for you. So, as I always say on this podcast, it's not about how much money you make. The power is in how much money you keep. I'm your host, Andre Creighton, and thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Take care.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
Mark your calendar for October 17th. That's Open House Day at Summit Academy OIC. And that's where your next career begins. In just 20 weeks, Summit Academy can prepare you to be a medical administrative assistant, IT specialist, carpenter, electrician, or financial services professional. These are good paying jobs in high demand in the Twin Cities. Summit Academy will not only prepare you for a job with advancement opportunities, they'll help you connect with employers and hiring managers. That's right, Summit Academy has a list of local employer partners ready and eager to hire Summit graduates. At the open house, you'll meet Summit instructors and staff. These incredible people will guide you through the entire process, from application to graduation. And if you're looking to earn your GED, Summit can help with that. Come to Summit Academy's open house, located at 235 Olson Memorial Highway in North Minneapolis. Find out more at saoic.org. And we'll see you October 17th from 3 to 5 p.m.
If you live in an older home, it may contain lead-based paint on walls, woodwork, and windows. Even more bad news, lead exposure can be dangerous to young children and impact their brain development. And now, the good news. Hennepin County will fix lead hazards in your home at no cost to you.
We were worried because of the paint in the windows in the bedroom. They were peeling and chipping, and we know that when paint peels and chips and it looks a certain way, that's possibly lead. We were worried for our children more so than anything.
Eligible homes can qualify for up to $15,000 in upgrades. You may even qualify for new energy-efficient windows. Don't worry, Hennepin County has a trusted list of pre-approved contractors. You won't even have to find companies with correct licenses or certifications.
I've just done a test and it's positive. So we know that this is lead-based paint, and then we know it's a hazard because it's creating dust every time this window moves and opens. And if you look in here, that's just full of lead paint chips.
You won't have to stay with your cousin while you're getting the lead out. Hennepin County even pays for you and your family to stay in a hotel while the work is underway. The last good news is how easy it is to apply. Just go to hennepin.us/lead control to get started.
I'm really happy with the program. We can go to bed knowing that our children are safe.
That's hennepin.us/lead control. Tell your friends about it.
I'm Brandon Jones, host of the Teen Mental Health podcast, It Is Not Your Fault.
And I'm Lambert Fisher, family therapist and host of the Diversity Dude podcast.
We're not always going to be all right, and that's what makes us human. Often, when we're in pain or even thinking of suicide, we may not want others to know, but you'll feel better if you talk to someone, and you can do that safely and anonymously.
We can recognize when loved ones are not okay. They bottle up, they isolate, they're angry.
That's why we want you to know about 988, Minnesota Lifeline, for someone you're worried about or even yourself.
Anyone with an emotional or mental health related need can call, chat, or text 988 for free, confidential support. You can connect with 988 to discuss difficulty with money, relationships, anxiety, your job, concerns about drug or alcohol use, grief support, figuring out your identity, and more.
You don't even have to identify yourself or the person you're calling about, and no insurance is needed.
988 is available 24/7 year-round and can interpret in more than 200 languages.
So take a brave step. Call or text 988.
Or chat at 988lifeline.org. You don't have to do this alone.
Are you the parent or guardian of an adult with autism? If your loved one has no restrictions through court order, then they are eligible to vote. And you can assist them in many ways. Some citizens with autism don't like unfamiliar places and activities. These voters might prefer to cast their ballot at an early voting center. Leading up to Election Day, these early voting centers are less busy and less likely to require waiting. Early voting centers are open all over Minnesota, and you can vote there right now. Or you can request an absentee ballot to vote by mail. That's right, eligible voters can cast their ballots without ever leaving home. On Election Day, curbside voting is another option to make voting easy and comfortable. Election judges will bring a ballot directly to the vehicle with a person with a disability. Make a plan to support and assist your loved one with autism this election season, so they can participate and exercise their precious right to vote. You can find out more at mnvotes.gov. That's mnvotes.gov.